All right, chapter 6. What is occultism? Occultism is the most serious and important branch of human knowledge. It is the science of the things that are causal, and therefore of the things which are in most instances invisible. Nature's fundamental structure, operations, and laws, and anyone who studies these realities and has reached some understanding of them from individual experience and insight, and who delivers what he knows to his fellow men, is a true and genuine occultist. No true occultist exists except he who has been initiated. Mystics exist, many of them, without having passed through the initiatory rites, and there have been many grand mystics. Mysticisms of many kinds exist, according to the temperament of the writer or the thinker or the feeler. But there is but one occultism, the science of things unseen and seen. All through the ages there have been searchers and seekers after this secret wisdom. The instinct of the human heart has told all thinking and intuitive men in all ages that there is an explanation of the riddles of life, and that this explanation may be found. Right? Seek and ye shall find. Right? Always the problem has been the how and the where. Blind sons of men, the great sages and seers have always told you the how and where. Every one of them has given to you the hint, has shown to you the beginning of the path. Their message has always been, through variously voiced and differently phrased, look within, O Son of Man, for there begins the mystic pathway of wisdom for each one of you, a pathway which leads to the heart of the universe. For each one of you is in his inmost, in the core of his being, is a divinity, a deathless God. In the very heart, of the core of every living entity is a spark of the eternal central fire. So that if you become at one with this spark, you are at one with the central fire, its fountainhead, and then all wisdom is yours, and all knowledge is yours, and all love is yours, and all power is yours. This is so simple that a child may understand the rule, and every theosophical movement in every age has been founded with the main intent of bringing to men the realization of the truths of life, of the nature, structure, and operations of the universe, of which all men are inseparable individual parts. Every theosophical movement throughout the ages has been founded in order to bring back to man the realization of that which is essentially man's, to awaken in his heart his spiritual instincts, to live the divine fire anew in his soul, so that, inflamed with its glory, he may press onwards, find this pathway, and in following it to its end, which is indeed no end, for it is endless, may reach to realization by individual experience of his complete oneness with the universe of which he is a child. That universe is you. Every part of it is yours. It is your eternal home and your everlasting dwelling place. There you are native, and not only are you, each one of you, the heart of the universe, but the universe itself truly, verily, is you yourself in your inmost. There then is the pathway. Beginning to tread it, you begin the study of genuine occultism, and it is dependent upon your own selves, your own souls, individually speaking, how far you advance along this pathway which begins in you and which reaches forever and forever and forever and constantly enlarging reaches throughout the beginningless and endless spaces of space. Man, know thyself. And we've heard that many times before, right? Yourself, your spiritual self, is the universe itself. The heart of being is your heart of being. You are in the universe, you live in the universe, always will you be in it. You cannot ever leave it. You have never been out of it because you are its child, and here now you are. So, and I think of Michael Robbins, talking about absolute infinitude, and it's just awesome. And if you haven't checked out Michael Robbins, the Moria Federation website and lectures, you should definitely do that. So there's my plug for that. Is not this thought a very simple and easily understood conception? And I think it certainly is. And its correct understanding, we may begin to catch a glimpse of the glory that lies back of it, the inspiration to a nobler and grander life that it contains. So any man who pursues this study following this inner path is a genuine occultist, and precisely in accordance with the advance that he has made along this inner wondrous path of mystery and peace and wisdom and beauty is his inner spiritual standing, whether he be a mere beginner on the path or a master of life. And here we have this pseudo or imaginary occultist. On the other hand, no matter how much one may be inclined to study of things which are hid, if he does not follow this spiritual pathway, he is not a genuine occultist. He studies a pseudo-occultism, indeed, in the sense of studying mysterious and weird things, but his occultism is imaginary. He is studying more particularly the curiously complex and perplexing psychological operations of his own mind. I do not deny, and in fact I affirm, that even this pseudo-occultism is a particular, albeit unimportant, branch of the genuine occultism, because the student in occultism must first of all study himself. But unless he has the larger teaching and is under the instruction of a genuine progressed occultist, he is following a dangerous, because misleading, pathway. He is attempting to run before he can crawl. Such men as these are pseudo-occultists, imaginary occultists. Some of them are sincere, even if ignorant, but some of them also are frauds, conscious or unconscious frauds, because claiming pretensions to a wisdom which they possess not. Are there not conscious and even unconscious frauds in other walks of life also? Well, of course there are. But because there are frauds, shall we turn from the realities? Because there are bad men in the world, men whose hearts are ignoble, whose instincts are base, and whose claims are mere pretensions, shall we avoid the companionship of those whose hearts are noble, whose instincts are lofty, and whose word is truth itself? Of course not. Even these unfortunate ministers of deception are unconscious and perhaps unwilling witnesses of the existence of the pure gold of the genuine occultism to which, despite themselves, are drawn and which they attempt to copy. Every true coin, it is said, is or can be counterfeited. If a thing had no genuine, no real value, there would be no possibility of its being counterfeited, because no one would have a use for it. Therefore, wherever a counterfeit is seen, it is paradoxically enough a testimony to actual values existing somewhere, which are the realities. Hence, wherever you see a spurious coin, you may be assured that a hunting for the pure gold will not be unrewarded. Some of our greatest scientific researchers today have the right to the name of occultists. They are penetrating behind the outermost veil of the outward seeming, moving forward towards another invisible veil, which is behind the veil of the outward seeming. They have as yet advanced but a short way, it is true, and they really don't know whether they are going. Nevertheless, they are students of the things which are invisible in nature's structure and in her operations and energies and laws, and thus truly may be classed as genuine but unconscious occultists. We Theosophists don't call them by that name because we prefer to restrict this term to men who have been trained by genuine occult teachers who have been taught how to unlock the inner percipient self, so that it may, if one like, leave the body and enter into the very womb of natural being, this indeed can be done, it is in fact done every day, and those men who can do this are the genuine occultists, those who have the best and largest right to this noble title. All the great seers and sages have thus been trained and are thus genuine occultists. But they never talk in public about it. They don't advertise themselves even, though there are rare exceptions to this rule of secrecy. There are occasions when the association of the masters of wisdom and compassion send out one or more of their pupils with instructions to proclaim spiritual truth once more to the hearts and minds of men, and to do so with the voice of authority, as Jesus did, as the Buddha did, as Pythagoras did, as I don't know how to say that name, as Lao Tzu did, as Krishna did, Apollonius of Tyana did, and as did many others. And their teaching has always been fundamentally one teaching. However, it may have varied in form because in different ages to different races of men. It matters not at all in what language they spoke, nor in what age and under what condition and in what circumstances they delivered what they had to say. The essentials were always the same identical formulation of natural facts, and the same identical system of natural verities. Every new bringer of truth has been persecuted, and especially persecuted, strange and melancholy paradox, by those who were nearest to him, nearest in belief to his teachings. This also is a paradox full of pathos, that men from a sense of caution and prudence, noble virtues in themselves, and from a love of holy truth itself hesitate, draw back, are suspicious when they hear a thing which seems to them new, albeit beautiful and full of spiritual inspiration. Then comes time, the great solver of all problems, the healer of all wounds, and pours his soothing balm over men's hearts and minds, clears away the mists, and finally brings understanding. And after the death of the envoy, mayhap, they say, verily, verily, a son of the sun has come to us, and we recognized him not. And Jesus said, I stood in the midst of them and found them all drunk. Right? But even though such be the fate of most, the envoys of the great ones, in the end it matters not at all. Right? And we're taught that no matter what we're working on or what we do, we don't expect to see any results. We just don't even go there. Right? So there's that. The envoys come knowing what they will meet with, and they picked up stones, right? And that's what we say. But they come to give, and to give up their life if need be, to give of themselves all that they have and all that they are in the giving, for they come not for self but for others. Verily, there are then genuine occultists and those who we may perhaps call imaginary occultists. Let us be charitable in our judgment regarding these latter. Some of them are not at all bad men. Some of the teachings that they give are good, but whence take they them? Where do they find them? They have found them in the Theosophical philosophy. That is the fountainhead whence they draw all the good that they gave. They find it all in the genuine teachings of Theosophy as brought to the Western world by the envoy of the great teachers, H.P. Blavatsky. She was a genuine occultist indeed, the envoy of the great ones, as others have been before her. She brought the teachings of the old age wisdom religion anew to mankind, and it is from this fountain of wisdom that men of latter date have drawn for their own purposes. If now they had given out these teachings and had said, these truths have I drawn from HPB, to her is due the credit, and also to them, the masters of the wisdom and compassion who sent her forth, then they would not utter a word of blame. Indeed, we should even applaud. And when people take credit unto themselves, not giving credit where credit is rightly due, then such action is a spiritual theft, and such people are rightly qualified as imaginary occultists. The woods are full of them today. Our cities today contain a small army of them, and our newspapers contain innumerable advertisements of their trade. I have not the slightest desire to throw mud at anyone, nor to utter a word of unmerited reproof, but my instinct of justice and my sense of right revolt sometimes when I ponder over these matters, and I feel that it is my duty to tell the truth. Come unto me, said the Syrian initiate teacher. Come unto me, and I will show you the pathway to wisdom, to peace, to love, and to power. Such was also the declaration of the oracle to Delphic Apollo, who, in other words, said, Man, know thyself. This is the pathway to wisdom, to peace, to love, to power. And H.P. Blavatsky said, in language with no thoughtful mind could misinterpret, Come unto me, my brothers, I have been taught. Only as I have been taught am I authorized to give, but what I have been taught I can give, and it is my duty to give. She gave and gave lavishly. What she gave was not her own. It is not my own. It is not your own. It is the common spiritual and intellectual heritage of mankind. It belongs to us all as human beings, to every son of man. And anyone who studies this common heritage of mankind and who follows the pathway that it opens is a genuine occultist. If he follow this pathway leading him to a greater chamber of wisdom, and then later still to chambers more lovely by far, he is a greater occultist. The pathway, remember, is endless, for it leads over and through the spacious fields of the spaces of invisible space. I'll talk about occult powers. Occultism, let us understand clearly, is the science and the study of the things which are invisible, secret, sacred, the study of the inner structure, operations, powers, and so-called laws of the universe. And Theosophy as presented today is its theoretic presentation. This is a definition which is exact and which is therefore true. And of course, since man is an inseparable part of the universe, therefore the secret powers, energies, and operations of the inner and invisible human being form a part of the study of the genuine occultist also. For instance, there is a strange and mysterious energy in man which few men consciously know anything about, and in connection with this, there is a secret and wonderful key which enables him to unlock, so to say, the chains which bind him into the gross psycho-astral physical encasement. There is this key by which to unlock the lock which shuts this inner man in, and when the inner man is thus loosed or unlocked, he can go forth into the inner realms of being, into the secret and invisible places of space. In Tibet, this power is called the Fowa. I don't know. It is called by other names in other places. All races of people have known of this wondrous fact. They have thought much about it, wondered greatly about it, and instinct has told them it is a fact. When this inner man is thus unloosed, he can send himself or project himself, or, if you like the phrasing better, he himself can go, whither he will, not only anywhere on the surface of the earth, or to the center of the earth, or to higher regions of our atmosphere, but also to the moon, to the planets, to the sun. It depends upon what part of the inner constitution of himself he unlocks. The spiritual part is at home in the solar spaces. Thither at will it goes like a flash of thought. The more material part of the constitution of man is earthly and clings to the earth, but nevertheless is more ethereal than is the physical body, and he can send this more ethereal but yet material part of his being to any portion of our own rocky sphere that he may please to dispatch it to, and there he can function in all his powers and faculties self-consciously and with full volition and do what he pleases. His ability in each case depends solely upon his grade of advancing in the sacred science, which also means his power to live the life. And moving on to rules for advancement. And this is, if we're listening to this now, we should certainly, and haven't read a treatise on white magic and initiation, human and solar, and those disciples or raised in initiations and such, we should definitely consider that because they're very advanced teachings. Let's see here. Would you like to test this yourself? Would you like to know by personal experience of these things? You can if you will obey the law and follow the rules. Ah, yes, the same old stumbling blocks, laws and rules, but such is nature's way. There's the rub, obeying rules and following studies. And yet, is it not everywhere the same in life? You can't even run an automobile without learning how to do it. How can you work a problem without learning the rules for its solution? How can you practice chemistry without having studied the science? Here then is the secret. You must give yourself if you desire to find yourself. Give up thy life if thou wouldst live. Give up the small life, the petty life, the mean life, the restricted life, the little personal life which shuts you in. Give it up and follow the light of the star within you. Expand from personality into impersonality and take your place as a master of life. Cultivate the powers which give you freedom, which release you from the shackles and chains of the lower selfhood. Be free spiritually and intellectually free. Then you can be trusted with all the occult powers within you and within the universe surrounding you, of which you are a child, because then you will be a master of life. And all the powers that then you will have, you will wield only for great and noble and unselfish and impersonal purposes. And, having, read online, and it's on the channel, the teachings of the Masters of the Far East, that is some incredible teaching, and it has the formulas in it, and those books should be studied. So if you haven't checked that out, I definitely would check that out. And we are going to do some more in-depth teachings from those books as a group here pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to that. And let us not, however, confuse this wide range of experience possible to human beings with merely one or two or three or more or less disputed psychic faculties, such as thought transference, or ordinary clairaudience or clairvoyance, and here I do not refer to genuine spiritual clairvoyance, using the word in the largest senses, meaning clear seeing, insight behind the veils, inner visioning. Furthermore, were I to say that everybody should cultivate occult powers merely because they are occult, I should be failing grossly in my duty. Therefore I say no. You should cultivate your spiritual powers, yes, your intellectual powers, yes. Your intellectual faculties, yes. And these are genuinely occult powers, of which the others are the lower and weak reflections. But when it comes to cultivating these lower, the astral and psychic powers, then I say no. The average man is totally unfit to have complete command of other powers than those which he already has. Indeed, the average man cannot even control himself. The ordinary psycho-astrophysical powers that he commonly uses today. And then, forsooth, people talk about cultivating occult powers. It simply shows that they don't know what they refer to. It is one of our theosophical duties to show men the way to wisdom, to peace, to happiness, to strength, and to spiritual powers, the real powers, the powers which are safe and clean and sweet, which make a man lovable, which make him compassionate, which guarantee that power put into his hands will be wielded never for self, but always in order to benefit others. Before the lower occult powers of any kind are cultivated, man must learn the first lesson of the higher occultism, the mystic knowledge, which is to control himself. And all powers that later he gains must be laid on the altar of impersonal service, on the altar of service to mankind. There are great men, noble-minded men, men who can be trusted, and they are entitled to have powers, and they have them. They are chelas, as we Theosophists say, and may be unknown to themselves sometimes in the beginning, but nevertheless they are pupils, disciples of the great teachers, of the masters of wisdom and compassion. Oh, my brothers, unlock the divine in your own being. It is very easy to begin this effort. Aspire, forgive, love impersonally, control yourself, exercise your spiritual faculties, cultivate your intellectual powers, do good to others. But always learn to love more, to love still more greatly, to love more grandly still, and let your compassion reach to the stars in thought and in feeling. Then you are indeed on the pathway to the gods. You are becoming a genuine occultist, and someday great powers will be yours, and you will see the vision sublime, that vision which will enable you, even while yet in the physical body, to look within and beyond and to see truth face to face. Okay, so that's the end of that chapter. There are many things that we can add. There are many things to talk about there. I think we're just going to leave it the way that it is. Great perspectives, though. All right, we'll continue on here tomorrow. Have a good one.